A lot of people have a big chest, abs are decently shredded, and to be honest are quite big as well. But as soon as they put on a shirt, it's like they've never been to the gym in their life. And that is because they have very small arms. Now, I'm not saying that you need Olympian level arms, but you need to at least look like you go to the gym. I've been able to build my arms to something I'm quite proud of, and a lot of you guys have noticed. Here is how we go from skinny twig arms to almost 20-inch arms. When most people go to the gym, they usually get the heaviest dumbbells that they can lift and start doing bicep curls. And that is fine. But when we think about bigger arms, the thing that makes your arms look huge even with a shirt on is triceps. They also need to be super well developed, and they make up 2/3 of your arms, so it makes sense that we prioritize the triceps. So with that said, I like to start my workout with triceps first.
What I start my tricep workout with is close grip bench.
Close grip's biggest selling point is progressive overload. As my triceps get stronger, I can keep adding weight week after week,
Which means constant growth.
With close grip bench as my first exercise, I'm able to target all 3 heads of the triceps: the long head, the lateral head, and the medial head. This way they get hit with the heaviest weight possible whilst I'm fresh, and I can use the isolation work after to fully burn them out. I do 3 sets of 10 reps adding weight each set. The second exercise is skull crushers. Skull crushers are so important because they directly target the long head, which makes up 2/3 of the tricep, hence giving your arms that fuller look. To do skull crushers, I use an easy bar as it lowers the strain on my wrists. A lot of people do use dumbbells instead of the easy bar, which is also fine and basically the same effect, but I find it hard to control the free moving dumbbells, so I prefer using an easy bar. Again, with these I do 3 sets of 12 reps and the weight getting higher as I go on. The third exercise, and one of the best exercises for triceps in my opinion, is the overhead rope extension. Again, this targets the long head of the triceps. By having my arms overhead, I put the arms into a deep stretched position, and research has shown that training a muscle when it's stretched leads to even more growth. With the overhead rope extensions, I do 3 sets till failure. I do this to completely burn out my long head so I can move on to my final exercise for triceps, which is rope pushdown. I finish with the rope pushdown because it targets the lateral and medial heads of the triceps, and I can really squeeze my triceps. A lot of people prefer to use the bar instead,
Which is also a good alternative. I mean, it still hits all the same parts of the tricep. But for me, I just like that freedom when I have a rope. I kind of get a better squeeze when I use the rope, which is why I primarily use the rope. But this is still good.
I do 3 sets of a heavy weight that I know I can do just about 12 reps, and do a final set of failure to completely finish my triceps off. Now that we have completely destroyed our triceps, it's time for some biceps. The bicep is composed of 2 heads, the long head and the short head. However, there's also another big muscle that sits underneath the 2 heads called the brachialis. The brachialis is a very important muscle to train as it pushes the biceps up more, creating that bicep peak. It also takes up as much space as both of the heads combined. I start my bicep workouts with the easy bar barbell curls. This is one of the best exercises for the overall growth of your biceps, as it targets both heads simultaneously. I tend to use the easy bar as it's easier on the wrist and allows me to go heavier whilst maintaining proper form. You can also do this with a normal barbell, it just adds extra strain on the wrist. I do 3 sets of 12 reps with heavy weight. The second exercise I do for the biceps is the most popular exercise, and that is the bicep curls. Bicep curls again target the long head and the short head of the bicep. There's 2 ways to do bicep curls. One way is to do one arm at a time, and the other way is to do them both at the same time. And the more optimal way is to do them both at the same time. Studies have shown that having a rest between each rep can be worse for muscle growth. However, it's not too much, so just do whichever you feel more comfortable with. For the bicep curls, I do 3 sets of 8 reps with each arm using a heavy weight and a final set till failure. Next is the hammer curls. Hammer curls are very similar to the bicep curls, but with the hammer curls, instead of the long head and short head being the main muscle group worked on, it is the brachialis. And as I mentioned before, this is just as important as the rest of the bicep. Again, with the hammer curls, you can either do it one at a time or both at once, depending on which one is more comfortable for you. Same amount of sets and reps as before, so 3 sets of 8 reps with each arm using a heavy weight and a final set till failure. Finally, to finish off the bicep workout and to complete the whole arm session, I do the last and probably my favorite exercise, machine preacher curl. The machine preacher curl has the added benefit of my shoulder being locked in, which stops me from swinging the weight like you would, for example, in bicep curls, which really allows me to isolate the bicep and focus directly on lifting with my bicep. I complete my workout with this by doing 4 sets till failure, going as heavy as I can but not sacrificing my form. and also aiming for a minimum of at least 8 reps per set. And that sums up the arm workout that took my arms from twig-like to almost 20 inches. We hit triceps and biceps with heavy compounds first for strength and size, then isolation exercises to fully fatigue each muscle. Progressive overload and controlled movement are key, making sure every head of the bicep and triceps gets worked on for maximum growth. Do this consistently and your arms will develop fully, both in thickness and shape. But don't forget that your diet has also got to be optimal. Neglecting protein and calorie intake will make all these exercises almost useless. Even if you train perfectly, your muscles won't have the building blocks or energy they need to grow. That's why hitting your protein targets and eating enough calories to support recovery is just as important as lifting heavy. Combined with consistent training, proper nutrition is what turns all that work in the gym into real muscle and strength gains, of course.